All right. Well, I made it.
That was the silent movie intro.
Was it not putting out any audio?
No, we were just
Okay.
hearing the dog barking in the background.
Oh, it was showing it on my end. I'm gonna have to redo some stuff. It don't make sense because I use this to do recordings and it works fine, but for some reason when I stream, it's not wanting to work. But it was showing audio output on my end. Don't know. But yeah, he's rolling his ball down the hill and he's a little upset about it.
Oh,
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to retool, but I have to do a live in order to be able to test it. I just did a live the other day. I don't know what the deal is with that. Let me hang on. Let me try to play this intro again to see if I can fix it while it's playing.
well, this is fun.
Give me a second. Yeah,
So,
it's not
yeah,
pulling the audio in. Don't know.
maybe we can fix it after or something. But
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. Who knows? I did put a new USB card in the other day. Maybe that messed something up. But anyway, how is everybody? Mother's Day Sunday here. I guess everywhere else. Well, maybe except for Chris. Chris, guess technically where Chris is, it's tomorrow. So,
uh, I am. Everything's in full bloom here, so I'm a little allergied up.
mm, finally get a little pollen up there, did you?
Hmm.
That was like a month ago here, so we're good.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
so
get you.
I'll try to mute myself if I really gotta clear my throat. But
So you should have started eating some honey like a month ago.
I have been.
Well, too bad that didn't work.
I even brought some of the yeah. There's a local honey guy that I usually pick up a bottle or two, including some hot honey. Um, and I even brought that with, but I didn't make too many sandwiches when I was down there. So
Roger, Roger. All right. Well, how is everybody? I'm trying to. Where's my comments at? Man, everything's messed up. I was running a little bit late. I had to go visit with my mom today, and so I got back and had to rush on putting some finishing touches on some stuff that I had painted and putting the last coat of paint on it, trying to get it, ready to dry because I got orders that will be turned in tomorrow. It's just been busy, really, 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 really busy here this weekend. Uh, finally got the first version video of the little Ace out. Finally, that was like stuff just kept coming up. Last minute orders, just things not wanting to cooperate. It's just been a mess.
yeah, tis the season for
My audio is quiet.
last minute orders and graduation stuff. So
I think it's actually just Steve's is louder, so I'll roll it up
I
one click.
okay I keep bumping my down from week to week. It's not even really registering on my mixer. So I think you're just quiet.
No, I've turned it up a little bit there though, so maybe we can get them to pair up. I try to go by the little green bar on the streaming software because it
Hmm.
doesn't always coincide with what's in Streamlabs. So it's a it's a balance.
You know,
But I mean, I could rotate mine a little bit. That might help make it a little louder. Don't know. Not yet. I thought I had Brian's sound effects fixed, but apparently, unless you can hear this, it's not working. So we're just gonna have to rock on for right now. Uh, hopefully one day I'll be able to get it fixed for you, Brian. I'm really sorry, sir. Well, maybe one day. So what have you had going on this week, Steve? I know it's been crazy over here, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I need like a month vacation to be quite honest with you. But what's going on at your place?
yeah, it's been a busy week here too. It was was commencement week for us. So some final tests wrapping up on campus. And then we had the commencement ceremony on Thursday, and that means faculty are getting wrapped up to leave as well. So it's been a busy work week. But also got some stuff going in the shop. Just this morning, I did finally drop a video on the wireless controller for the Genmitsu series of CNC machines.
Cool.
That's an interesting little device. It just plugs into the offline controller port, and they have a few different styles based on, I think there's 3 different styles based on the different machines. And then you have to, you treat it like an IoT device where you got to connect to its local Wi-Fi first, and then like with your phone, and then tell it how to connect to your network. So it is nice that it will jump on your network. However, it's got the caveat that it has to be at 2.4 gigahertz, and it was not playing nice with my tri-band network. So I had to put it on a separate network. But once I got it on there, it is really nice. I can just, connect to that as long as my phone or tablet's on there. You can jog the machine around. You can change settings. You can home it. You can use the probe. And I set it up with you can wirelessly transfer files to it from your phone or tablet. Well, I develop on the PC, so I just mapped to my iCloud folder, a G code folder, and then I was able to pull that up on the phone. So initial impressions with it, a couple little nuances there that were frustrating, but the nice thing is you don't have to have this hooked up to a computer then to control it. I don't know. I think I'm going to enjoy playing around with that a little bit. And then also took me a few extra days because all the chaos at work, but I did release that graduation photo frame. Walked through both on Lightburn and XCS, really kind of how to build the frame if you want to do it in either application yourself, and then customize it, whether it's graduation or birthday, anniversary, whatever the occasion, you can throw some stuff on there. So I kind of show the process of that. So hopefully that's been going well for people as far as that video as well. But yeah, other than that, like I say, the pollen's hit. I've been dealing with allergies, which makes it a little bit tough to just do everything. But I'm still alive and roaring into summer. It seems like it was got into the mid 80s. And of course, the Canadian wildfire smoke is back today. We have a lovely air quality alert overnight into tomorrow from wildfire smoke. So 3rd year in a row. Yay.
Well, cool. Well, hey, you can keep your smoke up there. We got your aurora now, so but don't send your smoke down here.
Yeah.
So can you still hear my audio okay?
I can hear you.
Cool. Good deal. I think I may have figured out what was going on with my audio. I think. We'll see. I actually made it back it down just a little bit now. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will complain if it's too loud. But yeah, it's been very busy here. It's probably fixing to get a lot busier. I do have a couple of machines that are supposed to be shipped. I don't really talk about them much till they show up, but if so, the next couple of weeks there'll be some pretty awesome stuff going on, hopefully. And I'm trying to get everything caught up. Graduation has hit where I live, and my party planner, coach awards, all these other things have just been slamming me. And everybody's like, "Hey, I know I probably should have ordered this a month ago, but can you?" And it's like, I can. I don't really want to, but I can. And so it's just been turning out stuff. I've got enclosure Zilla over here set up now with stuff in there drying because somebody's dyslexia messed me up, and my red and blue got transposed, and so I had to redo some stuff to keep from having to start all over on the project. I'm hoping this turns out to be the save of the century, but we'll see how it goes. It may not be. It may turn out to be a total disaster.
Well, let's see if my cameras are working. Nope. Yeah, Verl's asking, aren't I supposed to have a MK2 over my right shoulder? Actually, the MK2 is on the bench. It's hooked up to the exhaust, so I can start working with it and doing some things. So it's not sitting back there. There's actually something else sitting back there. That's the new Sculpt Fun 40 watt. They were going to send me their new rotary, but apparently that is delayed, and so they sent that. So I figured I'd throw that together and start playing with that while working with the MK2 as well. But yeah, no, it's so the MK2 is on the bench, and I can start working with that. Now I I had your setup from down there,
Yeah.
which this is the same laser, but the camera was not liking that config. So I used the one in theirs, and that got it closer. And I think I need to do a camera calibration with it yet to really get it dialed and working. But
Yeah. Well, I recommend that.
uh well, I would just
Because
thought I'd give it a
if you're,
shot. You know,
yeah. So, so yeah, I some of the pre-sent stuff, some of it works okay, but I'm just a stickler about, especially when it comes to the cameras, because I like for them to be as accurate as I can get them. I don't trust them 100%, but I still want them to be pretty accurate. It makes aligning things go a lot quicker when you
well,
can do
I
that.
don't trust them at all, but I use them to get in the ballpark.
Yeah,
I They work okay, but anytime you get within, if you're trying to put something in within like a millimeter or two of the border, yeah,
yeah,
it's always going to be slightly off. And if you have the closer you're out of the border, the bigger those differences look.
yeah,
So, you know, still a technology that, you know, I mean, the P2 with the dual cameras is better, but you also need to make sure that that's calibrated and that you do your height first, because that height difference will um, make it skewed as well. But that one where it moves the camera over directly atop, that seems to be closer. But even with that one, I was trying that with an item the other day, and it was a millimeter off and enough to go, yep, nope, that doesn't look right. So
yeah. Oh me.
but
Oh.
anyway, I think we may have a couple questions in the chat already. So I was just going to scroll back and hit. It's a question. Or 220-watt diode laser. What would be the best way to engrave clear acrylic? And with that, you're going to need some sort of binder. Usually, some people use like a spray paint, and then you got to clean it up with, some sort of paint remover. And with acrylic, I'm a little less likely to use that. So that's where I like to use a water-based paint if possible, because then it'll have less chance to etch it with the solvent. But you definitely have to use some sort of binder to apply it. Some people have had good luck just laying it flat on like black paper and having that work, but I find that it's better if it's actually adhered to the acrylic. So
Yeah, painting it is generally my go-to. Uh, I have mixed. Ceramart works really well. It's expensive to use, but I've had mixed results with the water base. The chalk paint. I've had mixed results with that because if you get a line in it, a brush mark or anything like that, it's gonna transpose into the material. Let me check something.
yeah, if you're doing a lot of that, getting a small hobby airbrush for those water-based paints is definitely worthwhile. They're easy to clean up, and then you can spray it on. Just do light coats. If you've got a like a hair dryer or heat gun, that'll help dry it really quick. Do another coat. Just make sure it's even, because yeah, when you've got those streaks in there, that can have different levels of effect. Here's another one from Chris. Hi from North Carolina. What's your thoughts on the up and coming X-Tool F1 Ultra?
It's expensive.
It is it is a bit pricier. It is kind of neat that it has it's got the 20-watt fiber. Now they don't say what's the type of fiber it is. Um, it could be
Yeah.
you know, a MOPA, it could be a Raycus. There's a few different styles it could be. But they also have a 20-watt blue diode laser with it. And so that's an interesting combination. I guess my take on it, yeah, for the price, you can get a less expensive. If you're just looking for a fiber laser, you can get a less expensive straight up fiber laser. You get a 20 or a 30 watt for the price they're asking, maybe even a 50 watt. Um, the having um, the dual sources is nice, but I don't know that you need a 20-watt blue diode in a Galvo style laser. You know, when you're getting into those powers, that's when you're starting to want to do cutting. And without having the air assist and the fact that the beam kind of moves around at angles, I just don't know that it's going to be the best for cutting. And you definitely don't need that amount of power for engraving. So interesting that they're doing it at higher power. I don't know that it's really worth it.
Yeah.
And then as far as portability, I don't know. The thing looks massive. So, you know, the nice thing that I like about the original F1 is its portability. You can take it on the go really easily. So it'll be interesting to see when the actual reviews. So right now, and this is typical of how a lot of them will do their kind of their pre-launch campaigns, is they want to kind of build excitement around it, but they don't want to let all the information out of the bag right away.
Yeah.
Okay, they want to entice you, and so that's why you're seeing a lot of videos out there that
They want to build the hype.
they build the hype, but they're not really telling you how it works or showing you how it works. They're going to wait until
Yeah.
after they're launched to do
Well,
that. So
like I said, and somebody had asked if we were getting one, and you know, I can speak for myself, but I can say that I was told that I would be. Like they had told me like they were going to ship it last month, but then I was also told there was a delay, and so I never got it. So I don't know. Jury's still out on that, but I'm kind of with Steve on that. A 200 by 200 work area. It's not, like I said, you've gotten big enough to where it's not compact anymore. A 20-watt fiber, that's you know, that's traditionally that's about the size of, me and Steve both have the com markers. It's very close to that. I mean, you do have the added shield and I guess ventilation if that's something you need that's provided with that one. So those are pluses. But I'm kind of like you on the 20-watt diode. I mean, yeah, maybe the scan speeds will be faster because it'll burn wood quicker, but I definitely would not want to cut with it because you would. I mean, if you were trying to cut 45-degree angles, it would probably be good. But other than that, you know, it's. I have a couple of Galvo style machines that I've tried cutting with, including the F1, and that's for one reason. Like with my F1 jig kit, I don't want people cutting it with the F1 because the cut that size, the kerf is just enormous because it's angled, and so it just those machines to me are engraving only machines. Can they cut? Yes. Would I recommend them for cutting? No, absolutely not. If you're going to do that, just go get yourself a 20-watt something, you know, and use that or bigger. But yeah, I wouldn't mind trying one out. I'm not against it. If they offer to send me one, of course I'll take it. I'm pretty sure Steve's in the same boat. But I'm not going to be beating their door down trying to get it either because I do think that they've kind of outpriced the audience that, you know, with this machine for what it is. Now, I know the P2 is actually more expensive, but the P2 is a 55-watt CO2 machine, fully enclosed. So I kind of get that. You got a bigger work area. But it's just, if you do the math on cost per square inch of workspace, it's pretty high. So, not knocking the machine, and I'm sure there's people out there that would love it. I just, you know, I don't know how many folks are going to really want to get into that one. I'm kind of, you know, it's kind of a weird, bag. We'll have to see. If I got my hands on one, maybe I could understand it more because X-Tool usually their products make sense even if they don't at first glance. But so this is going to be one of those. I'm going to get my hands on it before I can say.
yeah, they're definitely going after the small business market here. Um, in adding, you know, if you look at it, it has the camera, which again, cameras are good, but they're not perfect. And I'm curious about this. I don't have an application for it per se, but the conveyor belt they have that feeds material through, and then it's supposed to automatically place that item. And this is my concern on that.
Yeah.
I've seen that where you can do that on any of X Tools machines. You can throw a bunch of wooden coins into your bed, place your item on one of them, and have it try to auto detect the others and place the things automatically. Well, my problem with that is we all know how there's those margin of error
Well, yeah,
on
because it's
on
using the
cameras.
camera, and we know cameras aren't always
Yeah,
100%, especially in the outer areas of the
yeah.
workspace. So, yeah,
So I'm
I'm,
I'm
I'm like you. I'm curious.
I'm curious about it. I when I saw that, I was kind of like, well, I think you could make kind of a you could make a hopper that would place like business cards on that conveyor, and it would just kind of keep feeding them through. Now, is that going to be accurate and fast? Maybe, but is that faster than putting out 20 on a normal diode laser, or just having the jig and placing them one by one and hitting that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It definitely has some possibilities, and the cool thing here is that they are. I mean, it definitely has some new features to it in that the camera, the conveyor belt, things like that, the dual source at that power. But again, I think it's for the price tag. And as much as I'm supposed to be the influencer and tell you all go buy this and use my link and whatever, wait and see. Wait for a few people to really put it through the paces if you're looking at this thing. Um, they've got a deal going on right now where $1,000 off with $100 deposit. I've never seen too many lasers go up in price after their first launch. So I don't think you're going to lose out too much waiting and making sure it's something that would work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of unknowns still. They haven't really nobody has shown any video of it actually working. I know in the advertisements that I see, the tumbler that they use looks like it was done with a MOPA to me. I mean, yeah, maybe it was just some random coloration they got by using it, just on the stainless steel. But typically tumblers, if you get them hot enough to change color, they're going to warp or deform. So I'm kind of curious to see what they got going on with that. Molly is saying I bought a Chinese K40 3 months ago. Still haven't been able to use it. Motor shutters and gets as it gets toward the front left from back right. Uh, when you're gonna have an X tool giveaway. Yeah, some of those machines, like I said, once if you're not good at working on the K40 series machines, they're a little bit of a peel. I had one. Steve's had one. They work, but be prepared to do some upgrades. Be prepared to do some maintenance and improvements on it, because they are what you're getting what you pay for on those guys, and it's really really cheap put together.
Yeah, the stuttering, I guess I'd have to kind of see it or hear it, but I would start looking at some mechanical things, make sure that you know the pulleys or the belts aren't loose and or kind of skewed. Sometimes those mounts are not, they've got some play in them and such. So uh that's I would start, try to look at the mechanics as best, just slowly move it through by hand, see if anything looks like it's got a wobble to it or whatnot. But those, they can be a little tricky to diagnose without seeing them in person.
Yeah. I don't know of any touchscreen controllers other than maybe an app uh, for a CNC. Do you?
So for this one, that one is an app that you can use on any Android or iOS device. So if you've got an older phone, or an older tablet, the app is pretty lightweight. I don't think it has too drastic of requirements and such. I would go ahead and use that. That being said, I've been playing with it a little bit more, and it seems more stable on my newer iPhone. My older iPad, it felt like it would disconnect randomly on me, and I couldn't figure that out why. I've actually mentioned it to my contact at Sane Smart Gym to just say, hey, have you noticed anything with this? But it's been rock solid on my iPhone. So look for if you've got an older used phone in either Android or iOS, that would be the easiest way.
Yeah. And Verl's asking a question: do different thicknesses of materials affect the camera calibration? And Verl, I'm going to have to agree with Chris, but disagree with Chris. Yes, if your work surface is fixed. No, if your work surface moves. And I tested this theory with Enclosure Zilla because y'all know I've got the movable bed, and so as long as I move the material up to zero instead of moving the laser head, uh, and also this past week I got to help my buddy Tim out at the trophy shop because he's got some new people he's training, so I went in there and helped them do some stuff. And on the Thunder, it works the same way. And I tested the theory on the Thunder as well by focusing the machine to the surface of the material, because with the Thunder, the bed goes up and down. The gantry doesn't move. The z-axis is fixed. So when you hit focus on the Thunder, it raises the material up till it touches the sensor on the bottom of the bottom of the module or lens or whatever, and then it comes back down. So I tested it with the Thunder, and it makes zero difference. But the reason is because instead of the surface of the material getting closer or further from the camera, depending on thickness, when you bring it up to where the surface is at that particular focus point, it's always the surface of the material is always the same distance from the camera. So if you have a completely fixed, the best case scenario for using a camera is a completely fixed camera that cannot move, and the material is brought up or down depending on thickness to set the z-axis. And I was getting some really awesome results with the Thunder using the camera to crank out some jigs, and I was showing them how to replicate pieces, kind of like what Steve went through in his video, where I've got this piece, but I want to make another one that looks like it, and I don't want to spend all day trying to design it. We used the trace function and stuff like that with the camera, and it was very, very close. Uh, and as far as shapes, it was doing a really good job. So if your machine sets the z-axis based on moving the module, then yes, it does matter. But if the bed moves up and down, like some of the CO2s, the Monport CO2s, the bigger ones, or if you have a custom enclosure like mine, to where you can raise the material up and down, then it's basically the camera is calibrated at the surface in which you calibrated the camera. So so it depends. But most diodes that you guys are working with, then yes, the thickness will change it, because it's not the thickness of the material, it's the fact that the material is closer or further from the camera. That's what's causing the issue.
Yep.
And I'll let Steve have this one because this is right down his alley.
Oh, well, it's the difference is the fiber and the diode lasers. They're coming from two different sources. They're creating a different wavelength, and different that wavelength will interact with materials differently. So your fiber is going to be more towards interacting with metal and stone, things like that, whereas your diode is going to be more natural or non-synthetic materials. The woods, some stone, some acrylics and such. So it really just comes down to the physics of the wavelength. There's other differences. I mean, fibers tend to be more of a fixed source going through the galvo mirrors or on a module, whereas the diodes tend to be on the gantry style. You've seen some in the galvos and such, but so they'll have a little bit different lifespan and such to that. But it's really the wavelength that interacting with a certain type of medium that you're looking at.
Yeah. DJS is asking, what do you guys think about the Creality 60 watt? They say you can adjust the power from 20 to 30 to 60. Is it switchable in light, and is switchable in Lightburn? It's possible, because really all you would have to do is have a way, like say like where you use a M7 or M8 relay, you could technically put like electronically activated switches on two or four of the different stacked diodes inside there. And when that relay was activated, it would kill power to them. So, I mean, it is definitely possible, but without adding relays to it, I'm kind of curious how they're going to, because that's going to require two switches to do that. And most of the motherboards only have two. So they may have added an extra switch that's controllable through Lightburn, another relay port, kind of like the M7, M8 that's in Lightburn. But my guess is you're going to have to sacrifice automatic air assist unless they've done that, unless they've added another port. And it may be one of those things too, guys. You got to be careful. Make sure that Well, I guess it says it's switchable in Lightburn. If it's like sometimes those little extra features you get aren't
It,
necessarily supported in Lightburn.
it could be some sort of macro as well that sends it something to the
Yeah,
controller, then does it
sure.
through that. I'm sure there are ways to do it. I think that actually is an interesting option to add.
Yeah,
Where having the problem with switchable power supplies is now you got to remember physically to go over and switch it. You can't do your
yeah,
engraving and then hit it on the fly. You got to
yeah,
separate that into two different jobs right now. So I think it's interesting to see how they develop that, and I think it would make that feature a little more appealing to use on lasers. We as far as getting a 60-watt diode, if you want to cut thicker stuff, I mean, our A70 from Atom Stacks, those have been pretty impressive as to what they can cut.
yes.
But I unfortunately don't have any. I haven't been able to work anything out with Creality. They so far the people I've talked to there, they want me to push hard on sales for you guys, and I keep telling them no. So I haven't
Yeah,
I haven't had any experience with their lasers. I haven't had any reason to buy them themselves. Now I have purchased their 3D printers in the past, and I've enjoyed that. But
yeah,
so I don't know that I'll get the opportunity to see one.
yeah. Well, I actually used the A70. This is some what is this? Cypress that I cut. Actually made my mom a little thing out of it for Mother's Day, and it cut it like hot butter. The A70 did, and this is 10.8 millimeters. I ran it at like 8 millimeters a second, but the thing is I didn't have enough of the material to do a big full blown speed test. So I'm just like, I'll set it at 8. It'll cut it. Uh, I possibly could have went faster because when I was watching it do its thing, it even went through a knot at one place, and even though
Mm,
it went through that knot, it cut clean through it with no problem. So I
nice.
probably could have went a little faster, but yeah, this is like I said, 10 millimeter Cypress, and it literally dropped out of the hole. So that was very very cool watching that. And the beam length on this 70 is just amazing to me. How long the beam is from the
Yeah.
nozzle to the material. I want to do some leather because I think with the beam length of this machine, I think leather would be a good medium because you have so much of a, if it curls a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything because the beam is so tall. Uh, and I've got some leather up there in a box, and people keep asking me questions about leather, so that may be a project video if I can get around to it in the next week or so. Scott's want to know if we've seen anything about that R5 pass-through table from Adam Stack. I haven't heard of it, guys, but I've been, as far as research and stuff, I've been dark here lately on that. I've been busy, and every hour that I have, I'm out here crunching out stuff.
Uh, yeah, I've noticed a few other places adding that option. I believe that one is for the A series, like our A24, if I'm not mistaken, because I think I saw a photo of it somewhere. Um, I'd have to look at that one. If it has like a legit table to it, maybe. But the ones that have like the feed rollers, man, that is prone for problems.
Yeah,
Um, I think over time they'll probably work really well right away, but I think over time those wheels are gonna wear down, or they're gonna lose their grip, and they're gonna be a consumable slash trouble item where you're gonna start messing up. But if it's sitting on a table that you can actually fix it to, that's maybe a little bit better. But I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on using those for much.
yeah. If they had like it's a conveyor was more or less just a huge honeycomb that would like go back and forth in
Hmm.
there, I think that would work better. But I'm like you, especially as dusty as it is here in the shack. Those little rubber grippy wheels that are in printers and stuff like that, I, you would be cleaning those things constantly out here. I'm not a fan of that. That's like when the X Tool tried to send me one of them, and I'm like, no, don't send it to me. First of all, I ain't got room for it. I don't got a need for it, and it will probably fail and be useless to me because of all the dust and stuff that's out here.
Yeah.
So, uh, Steve Brian's asking if the F1 Ultra will be faster than the F1 to use at a show. Maybe. I mean, it's some things, but it's also what 4 times the size.
Yeah, I mean it's bigger and it's got more power, but that doesn't always equate into faster. And especially on certain materials. So, for example, that was a slate coaster. If you can find the balance of adding speed with that power, sure. But if you just add power to it, but the mirrors can't fling that beam any faster, then you're just going to be burning it hotter.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, in theory, if you have more power, you can then play with your speeds and find that happy medium that might be a little bit faster. But you also are playing with, dealing with more power having an adverse effect on the actual end result of the engraving. So, you know, something to find out. I mean, if one ends up in my shop, yeah, we can put them head to head on some certain things and see if it's faster, but it still has the same quality.
Nate, I'm a little biased, but I mean, the light burn stuff that I do, I try to keep it simple and keep it understandable for folks. I know Steve has a few videos. Rich, LA Hobby Guy, has a boatload of videos on everything under the sun, light burn related. And Lightburn themselves have some really good stuff on their YouTube channel as well, because I've watched some of their stuff on some of the functions that they add from time to time and things. So,
Yeah, I try to, like with my last video, which was the graduation, the customizing a picture frame, the graduation photo. I try to walk through as much as I can with that to give some people here's some tips and tricks of how I do it. Actually, with the MK2, since I already kind of did my mini review down at Clack's place there, I figured what I would do is try to do a video of getting started with the Lasermatic MK2. So, you know, kind of things to look out for in unboxing it, make sure you're setting it up this way, things like that. But then also kind of here's some of your first things to do in Lightburn to start to get to know your laser, and hopefully that'll. I mean, yes, a lot of it will be geared towards the MK2, but a lot of the stuff when we get into Lightburn and that will be applicable to most any laser.
yeah. Well, hello, Cody. How are you, sir? Good evening, everybody. Cody's in the house.
I used the Slim Jenny on my tests with the Genmitsu the other day, and it, as
Yeah.
usual, performed very nicely.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been using them a lot. I did a little sign the other day for a buddy of mine. I think you probably saw that little short I did. Uh, and I've gotten to where I'm scaring myself with these speeds, dude. I went 200% of Cody's recommended speed, and it was working fine. Nothing broke. The engrave looked great. I just kept hitting it 10% up, 10% up, 10% up, and yeah, I wound up 200% of Cody's recommended speed. So I've got to remember to go back in on that Slim Gen and change it in VCarve, because I haven't done that yet. But that thing was rocking. I did that little short and that little TikTok video, and that thing was slinging that uh, spindle all over the place.
Yeah,
Luckily my table's secure enough, because it was getting down.
I don't know that I would sling the Genmitsu with my Harbor Freight Power router at those speeds, but yeah,
Yeah.
I I've yet to have one fail to chew through whatever I'm throwing at it.
Well, now STL assured me that if I broke it, Cody would replace it, and that's what Greg told me. So
Hey, yeah, if you break it, go to his site, you order another one, he'll replace it.
but yeah, I just kept, like I said, because I've learned now that going too fast. It just because the bit's singing. Sometimes it's because you're going too slow. It sings,
Yep.
and it's a different tone when you're going too slow, when you're going too fast. And I'm starting to get my ear tuned to where I can tell,
Uh,
and so I'm getting a little more confident at bumping those speeds up. So yeah, but it was set at like 150, so I'm all the way like, well, no, it was set at 100. I think it was out of the box or wherever Cody sets it at, and so I'm at 200% of that. Which, hang on, let me see what his recommended set is. I'll tell you for sure. The Slim Gen. Nope, that's the numbers. That's not the speeds and feeds. Never mind. I can't tell you. But I was at 200% of that, and it was doing a good job. So I was happy.
Cool. So Ernest is asking about the MK2 XW, which extra wide. He has his eye on it. Any thoughts on it? Um, I'm all for wider in my lasers, and that always goes back to my original working with long sheets of balsa wood for my model airplanes. I mean, I couldn't get them wide enough because technically I could go 48 wide with some of my sheets if I had the machine. Now that's an expensive machine in general. So yeah, you've seen it before on my channel. When I got the Niji, that one was wider. The Atom Stack A40, the wide setup on that, love both those lasers. And so I
X40.
think, sorry, whatever. There's probably an A and a P and an L and a whatever from them. I love some of the Atom Stack gear, but I cannot keep their numbering straight. So yeah, I mean the wider Lasermatic, I'd be all for it. It's not that huge of a step up in price either, is it?
I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, it's the same machine. Basically, they just extended the gantry a little bit and made it wider. So, ooh, the MK2 back here, it has quickly become for normal size tumblers. That's become my go-to for tumblers because now the bigger ones. Sometimes I have to do things differently. Like if you're trying to do a Stanley, one of those big Stanley thermos looking things that everybody's wanting nowadays, you kind of got to go. I go a different route, but for standard size or skinny tumblers, the MK2 is my go-to for those. So, oh, Greg says he's out in the shop designing my logo patch for the 8th time. Guess what happens when being needle light burn? Yeah, it takes perseverance at times, Greg, but you'll get there. Ooh. Mark saying OhmTech has a 60-watt CO2 cabinet model with movable honeycomb bed for around 2,500. That's in the P2 ballpark, but with a larger work area. And yes, Mark, this is true. I will tell you too. A friend of mine that lives near me, he does laser stuff, mostly like law enforcement stuff. He has a Monport, and my experience with the Monport K40 series kind of messed me up a little bit with Monport, but he has been really running the mess out of his. He did have a little trouble getting it set up with Lightburn in the beginning, but he phoned a friend. I went over and I got it set up, got everything calibrated for him, and he has been running it to death doing the stuff that he does. And so far, it's doing a really good job. But it also focuses by the bed moving and everything. Of course, most of your really high speed galvos are because that galvo is not, or not galvo, CO2, because the head of most of those CO2s is fixed because they run some crazy, crazy speeds. I tried recording the Thunder the other day as I was working up at Tim's, and the frame rate on my iPhone caused it to look like kind of like helicopter blades in the video. You couldn't, the frame rate could not capture the speed of the head moving, and so when something's moving that fast, you kind of want it fixed and rigid. But yeah, there are other options out there. Some folks like the surroundings of the X tool or some of the other machines. I know was it the We Create? They've got their own little ecosystem going now too. But bigger machines actually can sometimes be cheaper than the smaller ones, depending on the make and model.
Well, and yeah, I mean there's a number of factors there, but you can definitely get into a CO2 laser for cheaper than the X-Tool P2. You're paying for their ecosystem and you're paying for the all-in-one package, and that's not always the best thing for you. So I started out with my eBay no-name brand CO2 60-watt CO2, which is most of these are variations on a theme. They will some of them will do they'll add some certain specifications to them. Some of them will import them and do some in-house adjustments and tweaking to them. There's a wide variety of them, but a lot of them are based on a similar frame and such. So, but with that comes a variety of, you know, you may or may not get support. You may or may not have easy, you know, you might have to do some of your own research on part numbers and source them if you have troubles. But
yeah,
there are ways to get into CO2 cheaper than some of these desktop models.
yeah. And I was actually surprised that the Thunder's not more than a 30 watt. I was kind of expected it to be a 40, but like I said, it is a little bit different animal with the whole what do they call that? Dang it, it's air cooled instead of water cooled.
The RF module.
Yeah, the RF. That's it.
Yeah.
Jody's saying after watching my video short, she's binged my CNC videos and placed a request with her family, or his or her, which I can't never remember. Said must have a CNC, so keep fingers crossed. Well, good luck, Jody. Maybe you'll get one. They're a lot of fun. The learning curve is a little steeper than with lasers, though. I'll go ahead and let you know that. But you can do it. It's not, if you know light burn, you're halfway there.
Yep.
Rich is in the house. There's the guy right there. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, he mentioned that there's some other new improvements to the XW, and he'll have the first one in his shop this week. So we'll all be excited to find out and see more of that.
Yeah, I'd like to know what that is. Bob said he ordered his yesterday. Maybe I'm a little bit behind here. Oh, well, glad it helped. Or at least I hope it helped. At least maybe it shows you what not to do there. Dad helps. But yeah, baseballs can be tricky because not all baseballs are created equal. I have learned that over the past couple of years. Some engrave well, some turn yellow, some turn dark. It just depends.
Well, and you do want to be careful with that because some of them are using synthetic leather, and some of that can have actual vinyl in them, and that's not going to be fun for anyone. You're gonna have some fumes there. They're going to be painful to your machine, painful to you, painful to anything outside you're venting it. So try to make sure if you are doing baseballs that you're getting genuine leather ones.
Try to get caught up.
Here's a question from Bill. Hey fellas, as diodes can't cut clear stuff, is there something fiber lasers can't affect? Yeah, it's if you put a fiber laser on wood, it's not going to do anything to it unless there's some sort of binder to it. But yeah, for to truly cut through and have a nice clean edge on acrylic, especially clear acrylic, you need to get into the CO2 wavelength. You can etch it, or if it's really thin, you could probably melt through it with a coating. But once it gets past that coating, it's not really cutting at that point. It might melt it, but you're probably not going to get all the way through it cleanly. Even on colored acrylics, when using the diodes, if you get some of those thicker ones, and I had someone in a comment or something asked earlier, will a higher power diode cut acrylics better? And it not really. I mean, they have a finite focus length, so that beam is going to come into and out of focus except for on the 70 watt, we're seeing it's got maybe a longer length, but most of them have that kind of short. It's really in focus for about 2 to 3 millimeters tops. And at that point, yeah, maybe with a movable Z, but when you get those multiple passes, you start getting lines, and you still don't get that nice, clear, polished edge that you do with a CO2. So it can do it, but depending on the finished look you're looking for, it's still not the best tool for the job if you're doing a lot of it. If you're doing it occasionally and it's the right colors, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you for sure that a Com Marker B4 will not engrave clear acrylic unless it's coated or something. Because this was when I first got the Com Marker B4, and I was like, oh man, this thing does plastics. It'll do this. It'll do that. I was thinking it was closer to being a CO2 than what it was. So I stuck a ruler under there that was clear. It was like clear plastic, and was going to engrave my logo on it. I now have the logo on the work area of my of my Com Marker because it did not engrave the ruler, but it did engrave that black aluminum bed on the Com Marker. So
Yeah, and this is I cut this piece out on the CO2 and then was playing with the F1. Same thing there. Neither the blue
yeah,
IR touched it. So
yeah, yeah. CO2 is kind of your go-to if you're going to be messing with a lot of acrylic. And even then, I'm gonna be honest with you, engraving acrylic, I cannot get my settings dialed in correctly unless you get some of the acrylic that is like dual layered or whatever. Some of the was it ABS and stuff like that that's dual layered that's made for lasers. I can't get the results that I like. I'm working on a project for May right now. Hang on, we go over and get that.
yeah, I've been playing around with some of that two-tone acrylic as well. And one of the things I'm playing with is cut it out on the CO2 first and then engrave it on the F1.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been engraving these on the F1. I'll cut them with the P2, but then the engraving, I'm actually doing it on the F1 using the blue diode, and I'm getting the best results. I still think it's kind of hard to see on this stuff, but I mean, in person, it's not terrible. It's not being that worth a crap on the camera. Uh, but but it's just the color is faint. Now I have been able to play with my settings on a lot of them and get it to where the engraved just turns white, which makes it contrast a little bit. But I'm having to move it out of focus, change the LPI. I'm having to do all kinds of creative stuff, and I just can't quite get it like I want it. So, but yeah, this is a neat little thing right here. That's cool.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, this is probably going back to the conversation about the CO2s, and we have YouTube for support. And that's where I was at when I was researching
Yeah.
the lasers to buy. I was originally looking at a K40. I thought, hey, back then I was like, hey, I could get one of these for $300 and play around with it. And then I started reading more about them and going, well, I really want something a little bit bigger, and kind of jumped up. And then I was okay with going with, off of eBay, kind of a random seller, because I knew I had the comfort in dealing with electronics and motion control that with a little bit of the groups on online YouTube channels and Facebook groups, that I could troubleshoot it and figure things out. And now I'm with my channel and such, try to pass on that information to others as well, to be a additional resource there. So there is so much information on YouTube. And as a person who works at a college, it's scary. You can get a lot of learning on online from various sources that in general is free. So and Jason says he's petitioned the finance for the F1 for us to use at festivals. Yeah, as far as a portable laser, that F1 I think is a real that's its sweet spot, is you're wanting to take it around places and engrave on site. It's got everything to keep people protected as far as the sliding shroud and everything, and works pretty well for that.
Yeah. My last bottle of water.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It
And
looks a little cold.
It's too cold. I had to pry it out of the freezer over here.
Uh-oh.
So we'll just let that sit there. Maybe I'll have a drink here in an hour or so.
Yeah.
Time to restock the refrigerator. It looks like it's time to defrost it as well.
Boy. True Text talking about, anyone find the file system, how Inkscape saves files, to be a real adventure to figure out. Not sure where it's putting my NC files on the hard drive, Windows and Inkscape, Android 2. I haven't played around a lot with Inkscape, and especially not for creating, any sort of machine files and such. If it's in a hidden directory, you might have to do some playing with your Windows Explorer to get it to display hidden directories if you're not finding it. But generally, searching for them should help you. But yeah, unfortunately, it's been years since I've done anything with Inkscape, so I don't have a lot of experience to help you out on that one.
Give me just a second.
You got yours loaded up?
Yo, I don't use it, but I do have it. So, give me just a second here.
Sure.
I want to look at something to see if it's where I think it should be.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll just reply to a couple others. Ernest says, "Thanks, guys. Look into this as a retirement hobby." And yeah, that's awesome. And that's where, I think Dave and I try to keep our content more towards the hobby business, the person in their garage workshop. We branch out a little bit, but we're trying to keep our audience relative and not get too above that. So definitely, it's a fun hobby to do. My dad actually, after I did my first X Tool D1 video, he ended up ordering one to play around with, and he's retired down in Arizona and enjoying it too. So
Okay, I found it.
it's always good to keep things, keep your mind going. All right, so you found something on Inkscape?
Yes, I found out how TrueTech can actually open Inkscape and figure out where to find its files. I think.
You going to show
So,
it?
yep. Let me get this message going. Well, there we go. We're both clicking the same stuff. All right, I'm going to turn mine down to. Let me move this out of the way so we don't have like a infinite window moment. And I'm going down to the bottom screen, and we'll see what it looks like here. So when you have a document open, go over here, go over to the side, go to edit, go down to preferences. And when you go into preferences, your input output, there's this little box. Make sure that's checked, but it says use current directory as save as. And if that is the case, then it looks like when you go down to system, it tells you here what the default folder is. And a cheap, easy way of doing that would be to cake and cut this right here. Just copy that over. And when you open up your Explorer, you should be able to just take that and paste it up here, and it will take you to that directory where everything's being saved. And then from here, you can actually right click that, copy that address. Once you confirm that this is where your stuff is going, then you can add a shortcut to your desktop. Now, we'll test this theory to see, and I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to, well, there it goes. It shows you where the directory is, looks like. NC files? What's the NC files here? Unless that's just that's just going to be the regular save, I guess. Okay, hang on. Let me go here. File, save. New document 1. So let's go see if it's in that directory. Up that. Inkscape. Yeah, I'm not sure what the NC file is. So that's, I don't, like I said, I haven't. Save as. But anyway, that should tell you NC. I don't see an NC. That's where all your stuff's going to be hid anyway. Save to. It's going to be in there. File, go to preferences. And when you go down to system, this is going to be your, like, got user configuration is right there. Extensions, fonts. These are going to be all your folders. So if you're looking for temporary files, like maybe it's like in case your system crashed or whatever, maybe there. So I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, but yeah, there's all your paths and everything, and it looks like you can change those system data. So everything is right there under preferences. So once again, edit, go to preferences, and you can go down to system, and it's going to show you all of that. So hopefully that helps.
So, I think the reason you're not seeing it is I think it's a plugin you got to have to set up those files.
Oh, for an NC. Okay.
So yeah, there might be some settings in that plugin or something, but
that's where all your directories are. So it should you should be able to find it somewhere in there. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how that plugin works, and
it is the NC. Yeah, because
so.
that's a GRBL or a G code file because that's what VCarve saves as.
Depends on your processor, but yes.
Yeah, I've got mine set up with the Shapoco processor.
But yeah, that's something interesting to play around with. There are a number of there are a number of processors for making G code. There actually used to be an interesting one that I could make it straight out of SketchUp, but I think the developer stopped supporting that. So.
Oh, you got Windows 11. Windows 11 is basically just rebranded Windows 10, so I would think the software would be similar. I mean, I know the software itself is the same for 10 and 11.
Yeah, but some of the file structure or they start limiting certain things in there as far as some of the things you can get at, and they keep turning other things off. They keep pulling things out of control panel as well. So, and as of next October, they're no longer to support security updates for Windows 10. So, yay!
Wow, they're killing that one off quick.
Yeah. Lance is saying he's got one of four corners won't raise or lower, and I've done all the troubleshooting. Took to checking cables, control board, swap motor control. Lance, which machine is this?
Just say that.
Because on my CO2 laser that has the lifting bed, it's one big belt.
Continual belt.
And you got to adjust the tension. There's kind of a tensioner pulley in there that I have to adjust to make sure that, and then also to make sure that the set screws are grabbing the.
Oh, look at that!
The rods. But did you get room service?
I got me some more sweet tea. Yeah, she wasn't dressed for TV though.
You know, I think I'm going to probably... I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because this could be a really funny joke the next time I come down there. But I found a couple T-shirts that I think I might need to have the next time we do a in-person collaboration.
You're talking about a nice orange Clack Shack T-shirt? I got some larges and extra large, but I didn't get Sasquatch.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, I didn't even get any stickers while I was down there, so I don't want to hear about giving me a T-shirt. You just tease that when I'm never there.
Hey, I'll put you a care package together. But you got to wear it.
Actually, that's going to be one of my upcoming videos. One of the farmers I work with, he's getting ready for farmers market season. So he's got some of those starting in June, and is working with me on some new swag. And so I'm actually going to be combining 3 different things to get this all pulled together for him. Going to be doing some leatherette patches on some hats, and then for the T-shirts, because his logo is really detailed. I had him go ahead and order some of those DTF transfers, their heat transfer, and then on the back I'm going to be doing some screen printing. So I told him, I said, I'll make you a really good deal if I can use this for part of a video as well. So I got to get that done for him in the next 10 days or so. So that I think that'll be kind of an interesting video showing kind of a small production, multi format way of doing some customizations in small shop.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Steve, feel free to go over to This and That Vinyl, and you can get all the Clack Shack stuff that you want right there, and they ship too, so you can just click it and see. Look, you could look just like me, $18 to $22. And those are some pretty good prices, I will say. Was it Spring was ripping me off?
It would be really hard to look just like you because I'd have to walk on my knees or something.
Here we go.
Just because, he's like this tall.
I am not like that tall. Oh. I'm taller than like 80% of the population.
Sure you are.
Yeah. Oh, me. Mercy. Let's see. Jason's wanting to know if we can have a discussion on marker paint. Best way to use them, difference between brands of marker paint. I have limited experience with that because I bought one brand and I like them. So.
Yeah, I actually have mine out here. I can't remember the brand of them, but I've only got experience with them, and they work pretty well. It just depends on the surface and how absorbent it is. Oh wow. I think my allergies just took a hit from that. I think a lot of it is more of the material and how you can prep it. Because if it's really porous, it's going to soak in, and you're going to find yourself wanting to recoat it. But you know, so far the ones I got and the ones Clack got, I mean, you can find our various videos on them. They seem to be working well for us.
Yeah, I think I got these at Walmart over in the art section with the acrylics and stuff like that, with acrylic paints and stuff. It says they're King Art, but literally, I just went into the Walmart and I was like, I need a paint pen because I had a couple of projects I wanted to try them on, and I got them, and they worked really well. Uh, there's a few of these colors that are running dry that I need to replace, and I can't remember
Okay, so
which one.
no dust on mine. Um,
Well, hey, if there ain't no dust, it means there ain't no work going on in the wood shop.
yeah, these are. I've actually been cleaning the past. These are the ones that I have. I don't even know what brand this is. COOCANI, but they're dual tip. They've got a broad brush on one side and a fine point on the other. And yeah, I find they work pretty well. So.
We create vision, is what they're saying.
Oh, okay. Let me ask for your fund. Yeah, I don't know. That one I'd have to look into. I had to take mine a little bit apart because I had some loose screws on it. So there's a lot of screws in that panel to get at stuff. And so generally on my larger CO2 that has the lifting bed, there's a belt that has a tension unit, but it also there's set screws that those pulleys go into the individual Acme rods that actually spin and move those nuts up and down. Those are kind of the two things that you check on that one. I haven't looked that close at the We Create to see what how that one is working.
I would be curious. Could you think you could get it that with just taking the chrome tray on the bottom of it? I never really noticed where. I mean, it's got to be below the chrome tray, or else the laser would be.
Well, it'd have to be. Well, yeah, because it can't go across the front because that tray slides out there. So it either sits above that or I don't know. I haven't looked that close.
Yeah, I haven't either, and mine's not here in the shop for me to go take a gander at it. My buddy Chris is new to lasering, and he's testing it out. Now, I did hear, and like I said, until it shows up, I don't know for sure, but supposedly they come out with a 40 watt, and they're asking if I can take one of those. And I did have a box show up with We Create plywood in it. So I don't know if that means they've sent the machine and maybe the plywood got here faster or what. But they said that sent me a tracking number, which I haven't looked at because when it gets here, it gets here. But a box of plywood did show up from We Create. Like maybe 2 days ago, this showed up. So I don't know. If this is my test material that I'm supposed to use with said machine. I haven't opened it or anything, so I don't know. But
maybe it's the IKEA version of their laser.
Well, we'll make sure. But it says on here plywood, premium pack, basswood plywood sheets. So I mean, I'm guessing it's plywood.
No, that's nice. I always appreciate it when people send test material with their laser, because that's an expense over time, just running through.
Yeah. Well, I guess they figured they didn't want me testing it. They didn't want me testing it with my redneck.
Well, I mean, that's I was gonna say that's just the flip side of it, though. It's like, sure, it works great on that stuff, but then you can never find their craft plywood anymore. So
yeah. But you can bet your bottom dollar though. I'm running this on it too because this is my medium that I use on everything. So that gives me a good gauge of how well it compares to other machines because this is the control right here. It's the same material on all my machines.
And that's why I use my 3mm Baltic birch. I still have plenty of sheets of it. I cut that down, and it kind of gives me it's a control it's fairly consistent material, and I can compare it a lot easier. So,
yeah. But we'll see if the machine itself actually shows up. The plywood apparently made it. And I got. Let me look at my email here. I got the email the other day saying that they were whoever was emailing me was saying that their coworker had shipped it. Not that they had shipped it. So who knows? Let's see. It's been a minute apparently. Yeah, there we go. Wednesday, 5/8 is when I got the email. Said already placed order. My colleagues still haven't updated tracking number to me, but plywood showed up. So we'll see.
Oh,
Yeah,
um,
that's what this is. Lance said that there's some HD that's underlayment. This is underlayment slash Luan, but this is some weird stuff. I can't find it anywhere but the Russell here in town. But it works.
uh, Dave, I'm not 100% sure I know someone that would have time in your area, but I don't know. If you want to send me an email, I can try to, maybe send me an email with what you're working with, and maybe I can either find someone, or we'll figure something out to see if we can help you out. Um, I may or may not know someone that could help you in that area. I don't want to promise their time. I know a couple retired people that may or may not have some time, but yeah.
Your camera froze on my end. I don't know. My stuff just did a weird like disconnect reconnect type thing.
Yeah, I'm seeing you fine,
Uh,
but
Let me see if this fixes it. Let me blink
I
you for a
saw you
second.
back in.
There we go. Nope, still froze. I hope it's not froze on everybody else's end. The audio's going fine,
Sure.
but yeah, you're froze
What if I do
on
that?
my.
Is that
No,
any
they
better?
said they said they can see you. Whoa. Apparently they can see you. It's only on my end, which is fine because I got the little bitty screen to the left over here.
Well,
Uh,
that'll just mess with you the whole night.
yeah. Brian, Brian's over there jumping on your boat, talking about I'm taller than 80% of the population at the elementary school. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now I do have a 13-year-old daughter that's taller than everybody else in the house but me. So we'll get there. We'll see. Uh, Go ahead, Steve. Tell Nancy how tall you are, as you're making fun of me calling me short, because I'm 6 foot tall. Okay, I'm 6 foot, 215 to 20 pounds, depending on how much food I've had. And how tall are you, Steve?
Generally, when I go to the doctor, they say I'm 6'5". Now,
See,
the U.S. Army said I was 6'6". I don't know if they just round to the nearest half foot or what, but so
it's probably that you've gotten older, and you're starting to get shorter.
no, that was, I mean, like, they were the only ones who ever measured me at 6'6". I don't know. Maybe they stretched me out or something.
So when y'all hear him call me short, it's not that I'm short; it's that I'm not 6'5". Okay, which I'm perfectly content in my size. I don't have a problem showering in campers without having to stick my head out the sunroof.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but oh, Jason said he's referring to laser marking paint. He
Ah,
said paint
okay.
marker. He said paint marker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, those exist too. I use Surmark. I started using Surmark. Yes, it's expensive. It works great once you learn how to use it and how much to use. It goes a really long way. And I'll let Steve tell you about his experience.
Yeah. I actually originally started out with Surmark it was just in a little bottle and I had to paint it on. They've since come out with their nice aerosol cans. I have played around with Brilliance marking spray as well. It's a little bit cheaper. Um, and I've had fairly decent results with it, although I think the Surmark is a little more consistent. Um, and then I know OhmTech has their branded stuff. I haven't had a chance to try that yet, but I have been trying to pick up a few of them and want to try to run a few tests between CO2 and higher wattage diode, lower wattage diode, just to kind of see. I'll have to source some consistent material as well, but try to do a few tests on that just to kind of give people maybe an idea of what it'll do. Because on certain ones, it the it needs a little more power to actually fuse it. So in some cases, if you have too low of settings, it will just wipe right off and not really mark. So I'd love to play around with that a little bit and try to give it a little more insight on at least a few of them.
Yeah. Whoa, wait a minute. What happened there?
I don't know. You clicked away on something.
Yeah, I thought I clicked it. Uh, Matthew, I'm going to be honest with you. The Shapeco 4XXL, I got a friend of mine that has that machine and he loves it. Now, with it, it is still, you're not going to have the ball screws and all that goes with it. So there's going to be some maintenance. But according to my buddy Tip over at Tip's Hammer, he does a lot of CNC and, laser and stuff like that. He said that he's had his for, I think he said since they first came out with it, because he had the three and then he went to that one. But he says that he's never had any big problems with it. But now I will tell you this: Tip is a stickler for maintenance, so he keeps his stuff clean, and he keeps his stuff like lubricated and belts tensioned and all that. But he has never. He said that he's had to tighten the belts maybe like twice, and I think he said he replaced the little rollers one time on it because he started getting some slack in them. But he loves his machine. Now he's drools over mine when he sees it. But he told me here a while back that it's just hard for him to spend the money when right now he's comfortable with what he's got. He's getting good results, and he's not trying to turn out a whole lot of production. So I would say if it's going to be your first machine and you can get an affordable price that you feel comfortable with paying, it would definitely be a contender. More so before I would go get other belt driven machines, I would definitely go with the Shipoko version of it. That's my experience. I think Steve's got one that's similar to that one, don't you?
Um, I've had some that are similar to that, and yeah, the belt driven roller CNCs. You just got to keep up on your maintenance. They are perfectly fine for getting started into CNC, and I ran one on some modest level production. I mean, there were days I was running it 10, 12 hours a day on the weekends and 6 hours on the weeknights for a good month plus straight when I had kind of a real big boom on one of my kits that I was selling. So they definitely can do a lot of work. As far as what you should pay for a used one, that's really hard to say. If anything else, try to make sure you can get a demo of it running, at least going, moving. It doesn't necessarily need to carve through wood, but at least see the motion, make sure things turn on and function. Without that, you don't know if it's got bad steppers or if there's it could be set up or it could be mechanical. It could be something they assembled wrong. So if you know what you're looking for, you can kind of go, hey, I'm okay with this, but this, motor's probably going bad, or this, belt needs replacing. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's even harder to say. So I would make sure that look at what some of the replacement parts would be, look at what you would be comfortable with doing, and then make sure you're still saving money and your time before you jump into that. Used market can be some great deals, but you can also be buying other people's headaches.
Yeah,
The,
and that's
the
going to
nice
come
thing,
back too on whether or not you know who you're purchasing it from. If it's a friend of yours or something, maybe
yeah.
that might be a little bit different.
I mean, the other nice thing is a lot of people buy these things with good intentions and never use them. And then they turn around to say, it's in my way. I need to sell it. And you can get a like new machine for 50% of the new price. So just try to make sure you can get a good look at it. If at all possible, have them at least demonstrate it, powering up and homing and maybe, jogging through both axes and such, or all three. But from there, it's just, yeah, it's always you're always taking a little bit of a risk with used equipment, but there's also a lot of good deals out there. So
Yeah. Viral, yes, pretty much. But now keep in mind, I've done a couple of hundred of those things, and I know what my settings are. I defocus my machine slightly to get a good dark burn on pine because pine is one of those woods that if you don't do everything right, it's hard to get it dark. but I defocus about 2 millimeters high, and I run full air assist. I do have to sand afterwards, but I get that nice brown engrave. So, da, da, da. Trying to get back down.
Um, Victor has a comment here. They were at a flea market and a guy was running an open laser. I told him that wasn't safe and what else could I have done? I was very upset. There were a lot of kids there. I, yeah, what could you do? I don't know. Um, this is something to be very mindful of if you are going to take a laser to a show. You know, you want to protect yourself and others always. You want to, I mean, and not just from where how you could do harm, but implied damage. People see this running and they go, "Oh, that person just I looked at their laser and now I'm blind." You want to make sure you have some protections in place so that there's a reasonable proof that you weren't causing them damage. And so this is actually would be a good way to say, if you're going to go to a show and you want to run your laser, maybe reach out to the event coordinator, say, "Hey, can I be in a location, or are you okay with me running this? And if so, can you put me in a location where, the smoke won't necessarily, I don't want to be like right in the middle of everybody. Maybe I can be on the edge or a corner or something." And just to try to help limit their exposure to it and such. As far as attending one and seeing this, I mean, if you can find an event organizer and just say, "Hey, I don't feel safe being here because one of your vendors," you can approach that. If you feel that strongly about it, you could talk to the coordinators and just say, "Hey, to me, this is dangerous. You might want to talk to your vendor." But that depends on the venue and the people and your how you feel about it too. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not something I would want to do. The liability of that, like you said, even just an accusation, that could create quite the headache.
well, that's where getting one of the newer lasers that has the built-in enclosure, that comes with it, the Lasermatic that has the enclosure around it, or the Atom Stack that Clack and I have.
Or the F
You
one, I mean anything
yeah,
with a cover.
but I mean, you can build your own, but if it's from factory, that tends to put people more at ease.
Yeah,
So, plus it looks better. These
yeah.
acrylic surrounds. You can allow people to see it, and that can be a draw to see the machine in action. But it's keeping them safe. So, yeah, Rich has a good point too. Check with code enforcement as well. There can be laws around what types of class lasers you can operate in public and not in a in a industrial environment and such. So
Jessica says she's just got her X tool and she's dying to do tumbler routes, but literally clueless, even following tutorials. She's lost. Uh, well, the easiest thing I know to explain it is you got to imagine that this tumbler, imagine it being like a sheet of paper that's rolled, and basically in Lightburn you're going to unroll it, and you're going to lay everything out, and then when it engraves it, it'll engrave it to the tumbler. So you're going to need to get the measurements of the exact distance around the tumbler, depending on your shape and the taper of the tumbler. There's going to be some more things with the optical illusion of round objects on a tumbler that can make it look squished. That is a deep rabbit hole to go into. My recommendation is find you some tumblers to practice with for sure, and watch as many videos and try to get your confidence level up. But wraps can be challenging. You can also run your machine at a lower power setting and wrap it with painter's tape and run a little test run on that just to see if everything's going to match up like you want it before you actually deploy the laser and save on testing costs. But you got to make sure you got the settings right, because you can etch one through masking tape. I've seen it happen.
Chris, my relatives are all over the place. Some are tall, some are short.
It is a
Yeah,
relative term.
but see, I mean, at 6'5", everybody's short. It's very odd. It is.
Oh no, not everybody's short. I've seen some
It is.
dudes that
I
make you
know.
look
I know,
short.
and that's what I'm saying. It is truly strange for me to come across someone that I'm looking up at while I'm, standing. It's a weird feeling for me because I'm just so used to, everybody being shorter.
Well, I don't run across people that often, but it is weird because you're taller than me to the point to where it is noticeable. Like like Klein's taller than me, but now he's like 130 pounds soaking wet. You know, but he's not as much taller than me as you are. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", but he seems shorter than what you do.
Hmm,
Maybe it's just because I've known him for a long time.
maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to jump down there. If we've missed a question, go ahead and put it back in the chat. But I'm trying to get caught up with where everybody else is chatting. So.
Yeah, I've been bouncing all over the place trying to make sure I don't miss anything. But sometimes I get stuck trying to read them, and then like a bunch of them piles in, and it's just boom. But there you go. See there. Nancy says she was the same way, but watched my video on the S1. It helped tremendously. So, see, that's what I hope for. I hope to at least help one person. So if I can make a video and at least help one person, that's good. And guys, I'm starting to collect some of the troll comments that we get. I want to make like a little troll short, uh, because y'all, I don't know where they come from, but they come in patches. So I've had like 3 or 4 this week that have just been trying to troll me, and it's hilarious. Some of the stuff that they think is going to hurt my feelings. They just don't know what I do. They don't know what I did for the past 25 years.
It is kind of funny because usually after Clacker drops a video, we'll take a screenshot of some of the funny ones and send them to each other. Just going, I don't know. Yeah. So it's always appreciated if when you're watching our videos. I mean, you some of you might see my comments on Clack's videos. They're usually just kind of very joke. They're just usually just something ridiculous and joking because that's just kind of my personality with my friends. Is I'll rib them a little bit. But no, it is very nice to even just have a hey, appreciated it or fun video. Thanks. Just drop a comment on there to help drown out some of those negative ones because there are some videos that I have. There's one short that I have out there. I don't remember, but it may have been doing leather patches with one of the like the Wainlux lasers or something. There's like 4 or 5 comments on it, and they're all like, "Shorts are stupid. Shorts are dumb. Why are shorts?" I'm like, "You're the one watching it and commenting on it. Move on. Just scroll on by."
Yeah,
I don't understand. They take even more time on it.
Yeah. ET says he plans on taking his 10-watt Sculpt Fun iCube to an event, wondering if the orange shield is rated for safe for running in public. I would say, hopefully, without a meter, I don't know that there's any way to make sure absolutely. You're just kind of trusting the company. But one thing I will say about that iCube is, that thing's a little, it can have a little bit of a leak here and there. So I would try to position the machine so that if it does leak a little bit, make sure that it's going to leak your direction and not towards people. But yeah, I would, like I said, you got to just kind of trust the company on some of this stuff. Just like, I mean, I can't tell you for sure, but I'm assuming that this acrylic and the acrylic on the X, I'm assuming that these companies are putting the proper stuff on there. And I think most like X Tool, I know Rolly, they've got their stuff from a legitimate source. You would think most of these companies would, make sure that the stuff they send you is safe. But like me and Steve said, some of these glasses you get with some of the really cheap machines is a little sketchy sometimes. So, he's got a sketchy set in this week or sometime or another.
This is a color I haven't gotten yet.
What? What's that for?
This came with the new Sculpt Fun. They're very yellow.
Well, okay. I haven't seen yellow ones. I agree with you.
Yep. I've seen orange. I've seen the green. Even some
Those
red.
look awfully clear.
but these are very. Wow, that is a color difference. Yeah. There was another one related to that. Since we're on the topic, it was I think it was around the here. Is the orange cover where the laser goes on the D1 protection for the eyes are still not enough? It is a layer of protection, but again, it's got the air gap below it, and so at the right angle or the right reflective material, things can still get around that. That's kind of meant for if you're above it and looking down, it's going to block most of it. But when you get down lower at a level angle with it, which could be a lot of pets and young children, depending on your setup, that's where it doesn't provide any protection at that point. So
Yeah, and the other thing, if you're engraving something that's reflective, such as some polished stainless or something like that, you have that reflectivity issue to contend with as well.
mm-hmm.
So, oh, look at that! Jason says he's watched many of my videos, learned 99% of what he knows from them. I appreciate that. I'm just assuming he knows a lot. That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Well, he said the other 1% from screw ups, but
Yeah.
they're only. I mean, they're not failures, and yeah, you screw things up, you learn something from it, and that's why we all say that. Hey, you gotta be getting extra material. So if you got a new brand of tumbler, get an extra one because you're going to need to go to school on it. I like Patrick's slogan: "Burn to learn." You gotta use your laser to be able to learn it. The comments and questions that scare me is when people are saying, "I just got my laser and I've got this big order for stuff and I need settings for this and how do I do these?" I'm like, you have no why. Why have you taken an order and
Yeah.
you haven't figured it out yet? You don't know the time it's going to take. You don't know. Yeah, there's so many variables you don't know that you could be losing money on it and getting yourself into big trouble. So invest in and know that you're going to burn through material, just figuring things out.
Yeah. I don't think we've answered this one. Johnny's saying he has a technical question. I'm on a burn test. Why is it the laser burns deep and dark on all the tests I do? And that, I'm going to have to say that depends. I can tell you this, that if you're getting really, really black burns a lot of times and it's like it won't go darker or lighter, check your lens. Because when I have had lens failures, lens cracks, the first telltale sign is it looks like I took a blowtorch to the cut. So other than that, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we want to check mechanics first, and any physical attributes. But you know, are are you setting up the test? Are you using a file, or are you using like in Lightburn they have the material test generator tool? If you're using a file, there be something that's corrupted in the settings and it needs to be fixed. So a quick test would be go into if you're running Lightburn, go into the laser tools and material test. Just set up a quick grid with some increasing speeds and powers, and see if that works. That'll kind of tell you if it's your original file or not. If you're doing it that way and everything's dark, then there might be something messed up with the. You might need to save your config, but then just create a new laser config within Lightburn to try to start fresh to see if maybe something's wrong there. But
Yeah, my assumption was that the speed and power test was correct.
it just there could be a number of things. So
All right, ET said he made a shield attachment for their sides to kind of help with the with that machine. It does have leakage, so but yeah, I mean, just with any machine, be careful.
yeah, and that's a balance of because your enclosure needs to have an inlet. It's gotta have a way to pull air in, and so if you just have a hole there, then there's no protection. So you almost kind of need a whole baffle system to make sure it's blocking the light but allowing the air in, and it can be a balance of those.
Whoop, whoop. Bob says that both of us have been supportive and approachable. Well, I know we try to be.
Yeah.
Steve tries to, I don't know, be a little taller than everybody, but other than that, he's a pretty good dude.
It's Dave. It's not that I look down on you.
But you realistically do. You do
It's,
it all the
yeah,
time. Why do you always look down on me, Steve?
it's I don't know, genetics.
Jessica says, "Is Lightburn better or easier to use in the Xtool program?" Um, Easier? No, I don't. I don't wouldn't say it's easier. If anything, XCS might actually be a little easier because it comes with a lot of preset settings for the machines and stuff like that. Better, it depends on what you're trying to do with it, I guess. The Lightburn to me is a little more complex, offers a little more options for certain things, but XCS would probably be that's where I started with, which is the old was it Laser Box Basic or whatever, but it was very simple. XCS has came a long way. There's still it's still missing some tools that I would like to see it have. But I would say if you've got an X Tool product, use XCS when you start getting comfortable with it and having fun, and you know that that's something you want to learn. Then start trying to learn Lightburn because XCS is free and you can learn the physics of how the laser works using it. And then if all goes well and you want to move to Lightburn, then move on. What do you
Um,
think, Steve?
yeah, I think for the complete beginner, XCS is probably easier to get started with, especially when you're using. I mean, obviously you're going to use that with Xtool products, and so they do have some presets that'll get you up and running faster. Um, but that being said, there are a number of things that it and it just doesn't have yet because they do continue to develop it. They have gotten better with it, but just I show a few of the differences in my last video. So, for example, they have in Lightburn you have the offset tool, and you can specify rounded, square, or there's three options for the corners. Oh, beveled. Whereas Xtool has, I think they call it outline, and it just defaults to rounded corners. There's no way to tell it, no, I want my corners square. That's just one small, tiny feature that you might not want rounded corners on your offset. And so uh, that's a way. That's one of the things I've noticed the difference. One of the big areas, though, and you could do your design in a completely different software, just bring it into either program and just run with it. But Lightburn has a lot of file optimization options. You can really specify in what order you want things to run. Xtool has some, but it still wants to tell you what it thinks is best. So I would just label it as Lightburn can be intimidating because it has so many more options on so many more features than XCS. That's where I hear a lot of people they jump into it and they go, I can't figure out how to do what. It doesn't make sense to me, and then they go back to XCS, and that's fine. But that's where hopefully through my videos, Dave's videos, Rich's videos, any of the creators out there, hopefully you can start gleaming some ideas of how Lightburn works so that you can use it as a tool to, be able to use some more of those advanced features. So,
Yeah. David Allen said, "What's the best way to clean soot off after burning? If it's on wood, sandpaper and air.
yeah, something like a good 40 grit.
No, not 40.
Oh,
120, depending on what you're doing it on, 120 to 220. You could even go, you could even go
on
finer than that, but I don't like standing there all day just trying to get a little soot off. So I usually run 120, and I know how hard to bear down and how hard to, sand. I just use the little corner and just nick it just a little bit with some 120, and boom, we're good.
yeah.
Compressed air is good for a lot of things. Now, if it's stainless steel, if it's tumblers, then there's alcohol in the magic erasers, or LA Awesome magic erasers, or LA Awesome and microfiber cloth. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can go about it if it's anything other than wood.
Yeah, it depends on if it's more just a layer of dust or if it's actually like the vaporized sap and glues. If it's just
Yeah.
more of the dusting, compressed air, Rich just mentioned he uses a paintbrush. Um, things like that will kind of wipe that off. But when it's more of that residue from the saps and the glues, then a little bit of sanding helps. But yeah, you got to be careful with, if you got a real light engraving, you want to go with a real light touch and a real high. I've gone even as high as like 300 some odd grit sandpaper just to. It takes a little time, but I don't want
To be careful.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to lose the detail of it. So
Well, and a lot of these little plywoods too, the veneers that they put on the top of those things are very thin, and if you go at it too hard, you'll end up with exposing the undercores or whatever.
Well, that's one of the reasons I like my 3mm Baltic birch, because it's 3 equal layers of plywood. It's got a little thicker veneer.
Don said he's picked up a lot of videos from both of us. Awesome. No, I recognize the name, Jason. Like I said, I try to answer every question I get, guys, through my email. Sometimes if you reply to a comment in YouTube, they get lost in the abyss. But if you message me on Facebook or you email me, I try to respond as soon as I can. Now, if it's during the day while I'm at my day job, then of course you'll probably have to wait until I get home, or maybe when I'm, sitting somewhere and waiting on something to happen or something like that. But I try to respond. So far to date, I can honestly say I believe I have, like I said, unless I missed one, responded to any and all. But it's getting harder with time.
Yep. Scott Johnson's asking, he's ordering one of the Sculpt Fun iCube 10 watts. What would you recommend for a portable power supply for it? I did a quick short while I was down at Dave's showing the Atom Stack A24 with the enclosure, the exhaust fan, my laptop, and the air pump and all that working off of. It's a VTO man battery power inverter, and I think it's labeled as like a 1500 watt or something like that. It's technically, I think the usable power out is about 1400 watts, and that running an average job power, I think it was doing an engrave and cut, was going to last me about 7 to 8 hours with that setup. So depending on what you were looking for, that's a nice one. And what I was looking for with that is basically your watt hour per dollar. I wanted as much battery in there for as low amount of money. What I gave up was it has a lower input wattage, so it takes longer to recharge it. But I was okay with that because I can bring it back home, or if I'm on the road, I bring it back to the hotel, plug it in, and recharge it overnight. So I'd have to look for the link, but if you look on my channel, I've got a short on it. It's a 60-second video showing that setup and that device. It'll give you at least an idea of what to look at.
Yeah, that one that you had, if I was going to get one of those, as a matter of fact, my daughter's band instructor asked me the other day about getting one to run some equipment for the band. And since I didn't have any experience with them, but I have seen yours work and played around with yours, that's when I think I got you to send me the link for it the other day so I could get them to order one. But yeah, that's a handy little power pack, and relatively affordable for what you get out of it, especially if you have a need for it. TrueTech saying that he sent off an email to Sculpt Fun requesting they update their Android app to include both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi rather than only Wi-Fi. And TrueTech, I could be mistaken. Rich or even Steve may know more about this than I do, but I'm not sure the iCube. I've looked at the board on the iCube because I have one of them, and I had to take it apart one time just to see how it worked. I'm not sure it has the board in it has Bluetooth capabilities. I could be wrong. I do know it does have Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, although similar, are not the same. You have to have a specific radio transmitter inside the controller for Bluetooth to work. And I don't know that I've run across any diode lasers that have Bluetooth ability. So I'm thinking that's probably not something that's really popular on lasers, and probably because Bluetooth's relatively short transmit range, I would imagine would make it probably not a great option for lasers.
I mean, it's definitely an added cost, and yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons, cost and also just the ability to transmit further is why you see them using those 2.4 gigahertz radios on them. A, they're cheap. B, they can penetrate farther for the signal. So, yeah, it would be nice to see see some Bluetooth features on some of them though, because hopefully you're operating definitely within range of Bluetooth for lasers, but it definitely would have to support it. So yeah, Chris is right. The laser pecker, that's one that's got Bluetooth in it. It's your favorite one.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I can't keep a straight face to make a video with it.
I tried to let you.
Don't even say it. Don't even say it. Oh my gosh. You and that machine. Oh my goodness. Oh. Let's see. They should include it because some of their machines rely on Bluetooth, such as my S3. Oh, does the S30 Ultra have Bluetooth? I didn't never notice it on mine. It's got Wi-Fi. I didn't know it had Bluetooth. I'll have to check that. I'll have to get Billy to check that. My buddy Billy's using it right now. Oh well, thank you there, Rich. I appreciate it. Uh, glad to see you hanging around. That's good.
Lightburn Forum says that the SculptFun S30 series supports Bluetooth but does not come with a Bluetooth antenna. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, that's odd. Like I said, which I don't usually scan for Bluetooth devices in my shop much, but you would think I would have saw it at some point.
Oh, good. So you haven't found the other surprise I left you.
I did find another one of your little sticker hides though the other day when I went to use my P2. I was like, man, you put them everywhere. I keep opening up toolboxes. I keep opening up machines, and it's like Vintauri's workshop. I'm like, good gosh. So when I come to Minnesota, I'm just know it's gonna be payback.
Yep.
Yep.
Burncarve Print has a good point too on the XTS versus Xtool or versus Lightburn. XTS is only for Xtool, whereas if you get used to working in Lightburn, that's going to work with 90% of the lasers out there until you get into some real high end ones and or some very niche ones. It's gonna, once you kind of have Lightburn kind of in your tool belt, it opens up a lot more machines that you can jump to and just get rolling with it a lot easier. So it's a very good point to bring up that we missed.
Yeah. Jason, on any of the Xtool machines, in order to connect it to the Wi-Fi, if that's what you're talking about, you're saying internet, but I'm assuming that you meant connect it to the Wi-Fi. You're gonna have to go into XCS and set that up, even if you're using Lightburn with the machine to run it. But I will tell you this: I've never been able to get an Xtool to work over Wi-Fi with Lightburn. Now it'll work with XCS, but not with Lightburn. So if that's what you're trying to do, I don't think they've fixed that to where you can yet. But I know in the past you could not do that. You could only control it across Wi-Fi with XCS. The only machine that I've ever had that I was actually able to control it over Wi-Fi was my Otur LM3, and it ran on Wi-Fi fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had reasonable success with Wi-Fi and most of the Xtool products in XCS. That being said, and I don't know if this solar flare storm that we've been having is giving me some issues, but I was really struggling the other day. It would connect but then disconnect on some of my machines. So I try to still keep them wired, but this is the manual for this new SculptFun SFA9. And they actually have in here some setup on hooking up in Lightburn to Wi-Fi. So something I'm interested to see how well that works on this one.
Yeah,
because I know a lot of times they don't like you to do that because they don't want you to be away from your laser.
Well, Colt, maybe it'll get better. That's what I have found. That one thing about a bad day is it usually makes the next day better. Because I've had plenty of those in my time. Uh-oh. Rich said he's stuck in a shop tonight making 100 double-sided coins uh, at a time on a 12 by 12 wood for a new coin game. That sounds like really tedious fun.
Yeah,
See,
he's just
Rich, that's where you need to fire up every laser. See, like I've got this job for that that I'm having to do for May May, and it's going to be like that, hundreds of pieces. But that's where I'll go around the room and I'll give everybody work. I'll put them all to work because I'm impatient like that. But yeah,
um yeah, Rich is he's got the video out or coming out on because I've seen some of the shorts and it's on a little coin hole game, kind of a miniature version of
yeah, I
cornhole.
saw
So
that.
uh, so if you haven't seen that, definitely go check out his channel for that cool little game. He was creating a box to hold it all as well. So some fun stuff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he has his own there, burn carve print. I'm quite confident he does. Michael, no, actually, the original X Tool D1 that I started with, my very first $800 X Tool D1 that I bought, is hanging up there on the wall that faces the front of the shop. And I made me a cool sign. I went to Amazon, found my date of purchase, and made it like his own little retirement plaque and put it up there as the original laser in the Clack Shack. So I've got that. I was gonna get rid of it, but I was like, it's kind of. I mean, because that was like my very first laser, was the 10 watt X2 D1, and it still works. I've got all the parts. It still works. I did rob the air assist cone off of it to put on a longer that had a crappy air assist cone on it, but I decided I'm never going to use it for any kind of production or anything. So, but I didn't want to get rid of it, so I found it a place over there to be permanently mounted as more of a, just a hey, first laser in the shack, and it's got the date of purchase and all that on the little plaque that I made to go in there with it. And my X Tool D1 20 watt, which was the second laser I purchased, uh, and I got in trouble because I got a big order from May May, and here I am with a 10 watt doing 4 passes trying to cut stuff. And so I just kind of snuck out here and on my laptop and ordered a 20 watt and didn't tell Brandy. I just used a credit card thinking, she won't notice. And and I'll pay it off once I get, these jobs done. And so, she's like, "You bought a what? Ain't you already got one of those?" And I was like, "Yes, but it's going to take me months to finish this job with a 10 watt doing 4 passes. If I have two machines, one of which is a 20 watt, I can do the job so much faster." And so I bought the second one. Well, since I've put the A24 on my portable shack, that's where I was using the X2D1 20 watt. But I got a buddy of mine, Tip, that we talked about earlier with the Shapeco. Tip had a 10 watt X2D1 that he had been using. Like, he bought his about the same time I did. And we were talking one day, and he's like, "Yeah, I kind of want to upgrade and get me a 20 watt, but I'm not using it as much as I was at one time." And some of you may know Tip's a retired military guy. He's a good friend. And so I was like, "Well, I got a 20 watt that I'm really not using. So take this to your house, use it as if it's your own. Of course, don't sell it. If you get rid of it, bring it back to me." And so the 20 watt is now at Tip's house because he had bought the X Tool enclosure, he had the RA2, he had all the accessories with his 10 watt. So it only made sense that, that would save him a lot of money letting him borrow that 20 watt without him having to make the investment. And like I said, if he gets tired of it or wants to get rid of it, he can just bring it back and, we'll go from there. So, but yeah, those are where my two original machines went to.
Yeah, I actually recently gave my original D1 over to a friend. Kind of a similar situation, I thought about hanging on to it, but I was like, he could get some use out of it and such. So I do still have my 20 watt version of the D1 for occasional use on things or helping people out. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he was kind of the one who turned me on to him too, because he was asking me if I wanted to let me split one, because I had my CO2 and I was working fine with it, but I ended up grabbing that one, and then he was also the person who got me into CNC routers. So I was kind of like, "Hey, here's a thank you. I know you'll play around with this one as well." He's got he actually has one of my other Atom Stack machines as well. So I figured, hey, why don't you play around with this one as well?
Now, Michael, I knew she would catch me eventually. But I was hoping that by the time she caught me, I would have already made the money back to pay off the machine. And, that was a couple of years ago. And I think I finally made the money back last week. But no, no, I made the money back on the machine seriously before the first credit card bill came due. Because I was at that point, it was a matter of I've got to do this because if I don't, it's going to look really bad on me. But I got that job for May, and I got hit with a couple of big tumbler jobs, and it was just like bam, bam, bam. And next thing I knew, the $1,200 that I spent on the 20 watt, I had actually made and was able to show on my little spreadsheet because I used to just keep a spreadsheet of my expenses versus my income. Before I think it was before Christmas that year, I was actually making a profit within like 2 months of that last purchase. So that worked out good for me, and yeah, kept me out of trouble.
Always good to do.
Yeah.
But well, we're coming up on our 2 hours. So if you have any last minute questions for us, definitely drop them in. But also wanted to make sure we put a plug in for our laser engraving community member map. This is an optional map that you can drop a pin. It doesn't need to be your physical address. It could be your city, state, or something nearby. It could be your business, your screen name, or your real name. But we have a form linked down below both of our videos where you can view the map as well as drop in your pin, and then it's a great way to know who's around you, or if we're traveling and want to try to form a meetup somewhere, we can kind of reference the map and say, hey, yeah, it looks like there's a number of people in this area. We'll be here at such and such time if you want to get together. So just kind of a cool thing we put out there. I think it was right around the holidays last year we wanted to put this together, and we already have we're about getting close to 450, so we're getting close to that 500 people that are signed up for it, so it's really cool. But look for that link down there and put your pin in if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's absolutely free. Doesn't cost anything, doesn't hurt anything. Like I said, you don't even have to give your real address. You can use your neighbor's address if you want. But NWMI is using a term that I didn't even know it existed until this past week, working with the Thunder, trying to teach them how to set it up doing tumblers. I had never saw a machine that referenced a U-axis until I got to playing around with the Thunderbolt and setting up the rotary for it. It actually uses U-axis, which didn't know that was a thing. I'm guessing it's because of the controller that's in that. Am I correct on that, Steve? You may know more about it because you've had more CO2s than I have.
Yeah, some of the boards will have an actual separate axis that you can enable rather than swapping with the Y. And then instead of sending those signals to the Y axis, it'll use that additional one. A lot of them, including mine, you actually had to go into the board and swap the wire, and so you just turned on the rotary function, but you wouldn't use that. So it's definitely machine specific, and you would need to know your controller and look at the documentation for your machine to see if it's supported.
Yeah, I know the Thunder. Like I said, because when I went to plug it in, I'm like, okay, where do you plug it in? I found the plug, got it plugged in. Of course, the Thunder version of Lightburn, apparently they had already like built in the settings and everything because we checked the steps per rotation and all that. It was all correct. But I was like, okay, why is this showing a U drive? But then I actually had to go on to the machine itself and enable it, and it was a little bit of a trip for somebody who was used to X tools and regular GRBL machines. It took me a little longer than was expected, but I was victorious. I did get the machine to engraving tumblers, and turned out a couple of pretty good jobs on it. So,
just clarification on the map. Like Jason mentioned that he tried to drop a pin, haven't seen it take hold. I do have to manually refresh this. They kind of disabled the auto update feature that used to be available in this, so I do have to manually refresh it. I try to do it a few times a week, but definitely during the lives. So if you don't see your pin right after filling out the form, don't worry, it'll get caught next time I refresh the map. So
Jeff said his wife caught him trying to get some leather smuggled in. Hey, it happens, guys. It happens. Those women are really keen on stuff like that. Rich is saying that he just ordered the Aeon CO2 RF laser and a roller that does 6 tumblers at once. I don't know that. I don't know that I have the money for that, Steve. That sounds really expensive. There, Rich.
You know what sounds expensive is when you run six at once and realize you have a typo.
Yeah, you didn't mirror the image or something,
But yeah,
That
I mean,
was,
when you build up your business and you're doing a lot of them, those investments start to make more sense. And because time is money, and you know, with tumblers, there's a finite amount people will pay for them, engraved. And so you want
yeah.
to be trying to minimize your time on it. So if you're really doing a lot of them, I can see how that investment would make sense after you've built
Yeah.
up your business a bit.
Yeah. I'm not turning out that kind of production now. Now, guys, in 16 or 17 months. Oh, that's never good. In 16 or 17 months, maybe I'll have an opportunity to have time to be able to do that kind of production to need something like that. But for now, I'm just keeping it with the army of diodes and my happy minions, because I have now built my minions up to 3 strong. I've got Klein working with me now. I got my buddy Bill. He's still in training, but like cutting boards and stuff like that, he can knock those guys out already. Now tumblers, he's going to have to go through the same process that Klein did with Tumbler 101 at the Clack Shack before he'll get his credit, his certificate for that. But Bill's doing really good with flat engraving. He built his own first file, he said yesterday, which was something for his shop. So and then I've got Tip that I can also send stuff to as well. And Tip, he's been had his for a while, but he stays a little busy on his own, so I don't bother him. But so far, I have all the machines in here plus my three little minions that I can use. So any big orders, worst case, I outsource some of that stuff if need be. But yeah, there's Bill himself, Milk Money Mini Farm right there, and yeah, his farm is now turned into a laser farm. More than it has animals. He still has the animals, but he has lasers. But he does not laser the animals. Just so we're clear on that. But yeah, but he built his own file, he said, and he's doing a good job. We're going to try to outfit him with a little bit more machines. Right now, he's running the Sculpt Fun S30 Ultra and the Sculpt Fun iCube. Algo Laser reached out to me, so I supposed to be getting, and like I said, I'm supposed to be getting the new Algo Laser with the touchscreen and all that on the front of it. So if that comes in, then he may get a slightly used Algo Laser Alpha and to add to his list over there. But we'll see. When you retire, you have less time to last 100 degrees. No, I don't think that's possible, Brian, because I've about got everything done. I mean, there's not much more we can do. Now she does want me to do some stuff in the house, and there will be some time. But a lot of that stuff, I've got buddies that have businesses that do those things, such as crown molding, paint, stuff like that, sanding hardwood floors. I'm just going to write them a check and stay in my shop because that's not stuff that I'm really good at. So we'll see. But I'm, like I said, hopefully down to 16 months now, I think. So I know you love me to say that, Steve, and it just kind of feels like a little pain in your heart when you hear me say that. But hey, that's what you get for all those short jokes.
Hey, my wife and I went camper shopping yesterday, so
What? Oh, hey, do I get a sales commission off that for letting you stay in one?
no, actually, my in-laws were looking to swap out, and I was like, hey, let's go look at what they have because they have some of the smaller pole behind campers that we wanted to take a closer look at, see if they would be something that we'd be interested in. So we weren't
So,
too seriously looking, but yeah, it was a few
well,
hours kicking around some campers and such.
well, if you and Carla need a place to, like stop with your camper, we have a tried and true, camper hookup outside the Clack Shack here. So
Yeah, I know. I'll have to get her down there sometime.
I told Brandy we're gonna have to that you said there was a camping area like 3 miles from your house. So when I do
Yeah,
talk her and let me get mine, maybe I can drag it up there one day.
there's a couple nice campgrounds not too far from me.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to start wrapping it up here in a minute. So, any last minute questions, go ahead and throw those out there. Tomorrow's a work day for Steve and I on our real jobs that we have to go to.
Hmm.
But Danny's wanting to know, can his X2D1 Pro 20-watt engraved stainless steel military ID tags? And the correct answer is kind of, sort of. It's not going to engrave, and by engrave I mean it's not going to remove any material from the stainless steel. However, you can permanently mark it with a darker gray, almost black, uh, like staining, so to speak, that will be permanent. But it's not technically engraving it because the definition of engraving is removing material. So, but yeah, and you can use marking spray and get a little bit better results. But marking spray is more or less temporary, and depending on wear and tear, depends on how long it stays there. So, anything you'd like to add, Steve? That's a pretty simple question.
No, I
Sorry.
mean you kind of covered it. You're actually removing material. You're marking it. Uh, and the marking sprays. I think for most cases they're good enough. It takes quite a bit to wear them off if they're applied right. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's doable, but it's not going to be it's not going to have any depth to it and such. So,
Have you got any information on this? I haven't seen the
uh,
process.
no, but I mean, as far as the easy swap, it's a lot easier than say the We Create. It's more of just the power cable. You'd have to detach the air hose from it. The IR won't use that. And then yeah, that just has kind of the dovetail slide onto it, so that whole head comes out very easy on the A24.
So the A24 uses the same controller. You just got to upgrade the power source and
Yeah, I
disconnect it.
think the IR uses the same. If you're going from the 24 to like the 40-watt, you might have to swap out power supplies and such.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I think the regular head to the 2-watt IR uses the same power supply.
Yeah, I got to get to where I can do some more researching because here lately I've just been like head to the ground. Saw someone make a Lamborghini model from wood. Then he realized I wanted a laser. That's what True Tech says. I don't know. I don't know that you can do that, but maybe. I mean, yeah, if with enough patience and software skills. Uh, Dana, I got too many bees. That's the update. I have too many bees. It is that time of year. They're exploding. They're trying to swarm on me. I split them the other day. Now I've got two hives off of that one, and it appears that they're trying to do it again. So I've got to order some hives. I'm gonna wind up with 10 hives by the end of this summer. The way it's looking. I done got me some genetic mutated super bees that are just having babies like nobody's business and trying to leave me. So I've actually got to get on Amazon and order a couple more boxes or build them. What I'm wanting to do is have a chance to CNC myself a file because I got the plywood already standing against the wall over there. I want to be able to build myself a CNC file to where I can make my own beehive, but I don't know that time and my bees are going to afford me the time to get that done.
You're gonna have to spread those out on your property a little bit more.
Well, and that's what my wife would be happy if I just take the tractor and haul them all up to the top of the hill up there.
Yeah, by your
But
hunting
then I
range.
got to go up there every day to check on them because I like to
Yeah.
check on them every day and make sure that they're not struggling or whatever. And sometimes I just sit and watch the bees, and so I don't want to have to go all the way to the top of the hill. So yeah, burn carve print. I got a buddy that sells bees over at Chilton Bee Company. His name's Brad, and he helps me out. He's my resident like bee expert. And then my buddy Whittle, who is also a bee expert, but he doesn't necessarily sell bees. He just hoards bees. So the two of them have told me that if I get more hives than I want, they'll sell the hive, and I can get like $150 for each hive, just for the bees. That's not counting frames and everything. That's just the bees themselves. So I'm considering it, but it's a lot of work. I mean, at the end of the day, the more hives you get, the more work it is. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what
Hmm.
happens. It's just not something I'm not really looking to sell bees. I'm not really looking to have as many as I have. I've got a honey extractor over there that takes up space in my shop, and I need to get some honey. So I'm hoping maybe next month sometime to draw out a bunch of frames of honey and give me some nice fresh honey. So I'll make a video with that if I do. But anyway, we'll get to that. Maybe I'll drop a bee video for you guys this week. I do need to go in and check on them. So we'll see. I'm glad somebody likes my bee videos other than just me and my buddy Whittle.
All right.
Steve didn't like being near the bees. He thought it was in danger to his health. He said I tried to kill him with the bees.
Yeah,
You
just
weren't that close. You were about 50 feet from the hives. You were safe. You were safe.
yeah, not when we were talking to your donkey friend.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Now you do have to go past the bees to get to the donkey.
Yeah,
I
but
hadn't seen him in a while.
no,
Let me
your
go out
your
there.
bees were pretty chill when we were there. Other than that one when we were trying to film your video, but most of them they weren't as active when I was down there.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's a bunch more of them now. They've doubled their population in the past 2 or 3 weeks. So,
well,
but anyway,
that's good.
guys. Yeah. Well, hey, all the farmers around me that are growing food, or all the folks that have fruit trees in their yard, should be thankful, because my wife argues that it's just been the luck of the draw because of the rain and the fertilizer, whatever. But our garden produced more last year than it ever has. I say it's because it has really good pollinating bees now. She says it's just luck of the draw, but who knows? We'll figure it out. The only way to know is to get rid of the bees, see if it goes downhill, and we're not doing that. So, but
Yeah, don't do
anyway.
that.
Yeah, I wish my buddy Bill he tried cutting grass up next to his when he shouldn't have one day, and it didn't work out real well for him. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, and we're gonna get off here so we can get some sleep. It's
Yeah,
needed.
sounds good. Thanks everyone for stopping by for another week, and hopefully we'll both have some more content out this week. Otherwise, we'll see you back this time next weekend.
Yeah, and if there's any mothers still watching, by the way, happy Mother's Day to you ladies. Uh, None of us would be here if it wasn't for a mother.
Hmm.
so it's a good thing to make sure that they know they're appreciated. I've tried to make sure my wife as well as my mom were both aware of that, and so I request that you do the same. So till next time, be safe and have a good day.